Hey, this is Overpass Insights. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about the toxic developer. All right, so it's been a while since I've done a video. I have just been off my game lately. I apologize for that. I'm trying to get my mojo back and all that kind of stuff, like you do. Today I want to talk a little bit about toxic developers. I mean, we talk a lot in the past, and when you're in conversations with people, you talk about toxic work environments, toxic relationships, toxic boyfriends, toxic girlfriends, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you can have toxic developers. And if you ever worked in a development environment, worked with other developers, or even hired a developer, you kind of know what this is like. And when I say toxic, I don't just mean bad. I don't mean incompetent. I don't mean they don't quite know what they're doing. I mean, they're just nasty. They make life miserable for you, right? And, you probably experienced this yourself, but I want to give you some of my opinions and some things I've experienced in the past with people, with software developers I would consider toxic. Right? And I'm in both as someone who hires developers and as someone who's worked with other developers. I'm lucky at the moment because the people, I have to say this up front just in case anybody I work with watches this. I'm really lucky with the people I'm working with right now. I mean, I'm working with doing a few contracts here and there and working with some really good developers, which is just nice. But when I was, starting to come up, starting off working in different teams and stuff like that, there's a lot of experiences which weren't great. Like for me, an excellent developer is someone who will sit there and work with you on the code. If they don't like your code, if they don't agree with your code, they'll just say, hey, you know what? You could try it this way, or this is the way I do it. This is whatever, but never like this sucks. This is bad. And that's usually what it is. Like, okay, this is one of the things. There's a special kind of arrogance that is reserved for a senior software developer. Like, more than they're arrogant to the people that are hiring them. They're arrogant to the other developers. They're like, they want to build themselves up by knocking everyone down, right? There was a guy, okay, first let's talk about other developers. And it's not necessarily senior software developers. Sometimes it's just somebody who sees you as a threat, like as a contractor especially. You come into some place, you're just working on a project. You're trying to do the best thing. Your whole thing was, we just want the project to do well, right? I had this one guy who, it was this passive aggressive thing where I didn't realize at first, because he was okay to me, day to day, but he was just sort of whispering behind my back about how my code sucked, right? And it was really, this was like 15 years ago, something like that. I think it was like 15 years ago. It really was the case where he started leaving sarcastic comments in the code, like, oh, you should have done it this way. Yeah, and he like actually swearing at me in the code. It was like the kind of thing where I just hated going in, right? Luckily, it was just he was just this kind of guy. He was a nasty guy. He was generally disliked by everybody. The kind of guy you won't go to lunch with because you know that someone's gonna be spitting in his food in the kitchen because he's just that abrasive, right? He was somebody I hated working with, and eventually everyone got hated working with him, and he ended up having to go, right? Which was good. Other times you're in situations where you're working with a developer who's just nasty and awful, and and people want to get rid of him, but they're trapped, right? He's the only one who knows the code, right? I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this before. Oh God, we really hate this guy, but if we get rid of him, who's going to look after the code, right? And it's like, usually this guy will have some sort of superiority because he's the only one who knows how it works. They need me here, right? Which goes to the other side when you're hiring somebody, right? Like I said, I've hired a lot of developers. A lot of times it doesn't work out, but usually if it's something like they're inexperienced, like inexperienced I could work with. Arrogant, not so much. Like an undeserved arrogance is something that I just can't stand. I do it all the right way. There's no bugs in my code, right? Every time somebody brings up a thing, says, Eric, there might be a bug in your code. I'm like, okay, let's have a look, right? It's always, let's have a look. Never like, nope. I am the best software developer that's ever walked the earth, right? The toxic developers that I've worked with are the ones that made me just dread going into work, made me dread the projects I loved working on, made me think, not so much doubt myself, but think, God, do I really want to work with people like this? Maybe I just want to work by myself. Maybe I just want to be a lone developer. And the thing about being a lone developer is you just don't get better, right? You don't get, like, that's not necessarily true. You can get better, but you have to experience other people's code. You have to like either work on open source projects or work on other projects with other developers, review other people's code. That's how we get better. Otherwise we get into the same pitfalls and everything like that. Working in a team, okay, so if you're a developer who's never not worked in a team, you need to, learn to be self-sufficient and work on your own, right? There's so much you learn when you have to do everything yourself. On the other side, if you're somebody who's always worked by yourself and never worked in a team, you need to have that experience too, right? Just working with other developers, how they do things, why they do things the way they do they have a methodology, why do, because otherwise you just get in the trap of, I just do the same thing again and again and again, and sometimes it's nice to have that person to challenge you. I know I'm kind of rambling on, that's kind of what the channel is, rambling on about stuff, but that's kind of what I think about a toxic developer, someone who's really arrogant, doesn't want to learn anything, and is always right. And he's always right because he always puts everybody else down, right? Somebody comes into a project and the first thing he does is badmouth everybody else's code because he's so awesome, right? Well, let me know what you guys think. Have you guys ever worked with a developer you thought was toxic? And if so, let me know why, because I'd really be interested to know this, right? For me, it's arrogance. Like, it's the ego and never wanting to admit that bug is theirs, right? So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe. I'll talk to you again next time.